Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Believe in best.
Tonight on Our News, an autopsy will determine how a prisoner ended up dead in his cell. The Prime Minister's warning to world leaders at COP26. Sparks fly at the detention center. Plus, a new Frontier Airlines direct flight touches down. Welcome to Our News and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina Dragovich. Topping news tonight, an autopsy will be performed to determine whether a prisoner died of natural causes or homicide in his cell at the Bahamas Department of Correctional Services yesterday morning. That's according to Minister of National Security Wayne Munroe, who revealed more details about that inmate. Munroe says the prisoner was serving time for stealing and was in his early 30s. He adds both the Royal Bahamas Police Force and officials at the BDOC are investigating the circumstances that led to the prisoner's death.
I say we'll wait to see what the pathologist says. The forensic pathologist, Dr. Karen Sands, she will do an autopsy. She will give an autopsy report, and then we will know whether it's natural causes or homicide.
The inmate was being housed in the maximum security wing of the prison. Munroe says he was found unresponsive around 8:30 on Monday morning with what appeared to be signs of injuries. It's unclear how many people were in the cell with him at the time of his death.
To my mind, having 4 men, grown men, in a cell 6 feet by 9 feet, we have to do something about addressing that circumstance.
Munroe says if investigations determine that changes were needed at the prison, they will be implemented.
We don't react erratically and ad hoc. The prison puts in place systems that they rate as best to carry out the job. If something happens, then they will investigate, and so that's why they're carrying out their investigations. If their investigations show that there can be an improvement in systems, then that would happen.
A group of Cuban nationals said to be anxious to be sent home started a fire at the detention center this afternoon. Officials say no one was injured in the incident, but Immigration Minister Keith Bell admits that acts of protest at the facility are nothing new. Bethany McDermott reports.
A group of Cuban nationals set a pile of trash on fire at the Carmichael Road Detention Center Tuesday, prompting officials to take swift action. Immigration Minister Keith Bell says the detainees got agitated, something he says is not uncommon.
Once the security forces saw that they started to light a fire and began to get agitated, they quickly moved into action. And what they wanted to do was to ensure that they exercised a high degree of caution and also ensure that they put everything in place just to ensure that the small incident didn't develop into something much bigger. Whenever we have a number of Cubans in custody, a significant number, they usually become agitated, they want to be repatriated. We have a total of 99 Cubans in custody at the detention center base, 94 men and 5 women. And so they've been there for, some just came there early this week, others have been there for just over a week or so.
Bell says no one was injured in the incident. Our News understands the group used the light fixture to generate heat and start the fire. Back in 2014, 13 Cuban nationals attempted to burn down a dormitory at the detention center. However, the matter was contained before any serious damage could be done. They were taken to prison following the incident. Meanwhile, the minister explains that repatriating Cuban nationals can be challenging.
Given the numbers, we know that we need to get them out. Whenever we have a large number of Cubans in there, we need to make sure we get them out of the country. The challenge we would have had is that we are working through diplomatic channels with the Cuban government in order for them to take their citizens back.
He stressed that the goal now is to repatriate them as quickly as possible.
These are detainees. These are persons who are not criminals, they are detainees, and that's the distinction. And the idea and objective is that we move very quickly to repatriate them as with any other national.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Bethany McDermott.
In other news, we are out of time. That was the warning from Prime Minister Philip Davis to world leaders today as he addressed the UN Climate Change Conference in Glasgow. He urged leaders to ensure that COP26 succeeds in a way that the last 25 Conference of Party meetings did not. Vonique Toot joins me live from Glasgow with more on the Prime Minister's address. Good evening, Vonique.
Good night, Christina. A short but sobering speech from Prime Minister Philip Davis here in Glasgow today as he urged world leaders to do what is needed, not what they can get away with.
This report is brought to you by EY, building a better working world.
More of my people will die. More will be left traumatized and homeless. People will be forced to flee, but flee to where?
A passionate plea from the Prime Minister as he addressed world leaders on day 3 of the UN Climate Change Conference in Glasgow. Davis warned that without real action and financing from the larger countries, the future looks bleak for developing nations like the Bahamas.
Every leader before us has postponed until tomorrow what needed to happen yesterday. And now tomorrow is here today, and countries like mine are out of time. Your support by financing and technology transfer are needed urgently so we can rebuild for resilience. Without change, if we are lucky, we will become refugees. Without change, if we are unlucky, then we will be left to the mercy of future Hurricane Dorians.
Referencing Bahamian Olympic gold medalist Stephen Gardner and Shawnee Miller-Weibo, who outraced the competition in Tokyo 2020, Davis left this message with world leaders.
We are out of time, colleagues. A recent study declared that the Bahamas had the cleanest air in the world. Other studies have shown that our distinctive, beautiful aquamarine seas are a magnificent carbon sink. Our seas reduce the amount of carbon in the atmosphere. The Bahamas is not now and never has been the problem, but yet we are forced to pay the price.
Davis pledged that the Bahamas will do what it can to help tackle climate change, but he acknowledged that the limits of what the small nation's effort can accomplish are stark.
We cannot outrun your carbon emissions. We cannot outrun the hurricanes, which are growing more powerful. And we cannot outrun rising sea levels as our islands disappear beneath the seas. Hurricane Dorian, that monster Category 5 hurricane, which devastated 2 of our main islands, feels like it descended upon us just yesterday. We still don't know exactly how many died.
Ahead of his address to world leaders today, the Prime Minister participated in critical funding negotiations for the Bahamas. Back to you, Christina.
Thanks, Vonique. Let us know what's next on the agenda for you all.
Well, earlier tonight, we had dinner with the Prime Minister, who held a dinner for all Bahamians here in Scotland. Then tomorrow, it's off to London before the Prime Minister returns to the Bahamas on Friday.
Sounds great. Be safe and stay warm. There will be no nightly curfew once the state of emergency expires, according to Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. Michael Darville. Dr. Darville explains why curfews were not mentioned in the Health Services COVID-19 Prevention and Management of Community Spread Rules 2021 and Health Services COVID-19 General Rules 2021. Both documents were tabled in Parliament on Monday.
There is no curfews mentioned in these orders. As you can see, that with our plan, you're beginning to see changes where the numbers are falling. It's very important to understand that we're trying to regulate COVID-19 via rules by way of the Health Services Act through amendments to Section 29.
The former administration introduced a nightly curfew in March 2020 as a mitigation measure against COVID-19. Public health measures like mask wearing and limiting social events will remain in place, but curfews will not.
This is a new way. It is very well laid out, but I want to let the country know that the rules are very fluid. As the cases begin to rise, and God forbid it doesn't, we will have to make additional adjustments to those rules.
Meanwhile, unpaid salaries have led some workers from the Ministry of Health's contact tracing unit to quit. Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Michael Darville says the issue is a priority. Jasmine Brown reports.
They deserve to be paid, and I will do everything in my power to make sure that that is done.
That's Minister of Health Dr. Michael Darville confirming the situation at the contact tracing unit isn't exactly ideal due to the fact that a number of contact tracers have not been paid, and it has been leading some of them to quit. Darville says the problem at the contact tracing unit was inherited from the Minnis administration.
We've met the problem in place, and as minister, it is my responsibility to solve the problem, which I'm doing.
Darville says it is vital that the issue be addressed, particularly as the government seeks to increase accessibility to COVID testing. While he says he did not know the exact number of people awaiting payment, he insists government will get the money to pay those who are owed and hire more contact tracers to beef up the unit.
We have supplementary budgetary allocations where we will deal with that issue. I've had the opportunity to speak with them and to let them know that the government is working to solve that problem. And they are not the only ones. We plan to bring on additional contact tracers, and so it's important for them to understand that we need to make sure that the budget is there to sort them out, and I appreciate their support, and they have been patient.
Now, the health minister says in addition to those bills, there are also outstanding bills for other matters in the Ministry of Health, and he says the Davis administration will ensure that those bills are paid. Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Partly cloudy skies tonight. Greg Thompson is in the Weather Center with the latest.
Thanks, Christina, and a happy Tuesday evening, everybody. A very nice evening setting up on our outdoors. Temperatures in the upper 70s. Right now, we're settling at 79. Few clouds. We'll still call it mild because the temperatures are comfortable. The winds very light out of the northeast at 5 knots. Feels like temperatures still in the low 80s. Satellite view, nothing much across the islands. That weak frontal boundary across the southeast Bahamas still generating a few spotty showers. We do have some patchy clouds across the remainder of the islands. Conditions will be rather nice for the rest of the evening. That's your first look at weather. Stick with us. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come on our news, new direct flight service to Nassau and concern over a review of public service promotions. That's coming up when our news returns.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
It was a Bahamian celebration at Philadelphia International Airport this morning as Frontier Airlines prepared for its inaugural flight from the city of brotherly love. Kyle Joaquin was there and has the story.
I'm so excited. I feel so lucky. I'm just ready for the warm weather.
They came from as far as Venezuela and, of course, Philly.
I feel so excited and honored. Like, this is the first flight ever, the first direct flight to Nassau. It's a really, really big deal, Philadelphia.
A whole lot of excitement in the room as Frontier Airlines was given a down-home send-off for its inaugural flight from Philadelphia to the Bahamas Tuesday morning. And the hype was felt by some pretty unexpected friends.
All right, so I'm here with my friends Zumi. What's your name, Pop? You don't have just beer? And he's coming with us to Nassau, Bahamas on Frontier.
The gate decked out with Bahamas signage and flags in just about everyone's hands for the big day.
Now, this market is very important. Pennsylvania remains in our top 10 top producing states for the North America. And even though this service is not new, this market is not new, we wanted to intensify our presence in this particular region.
Bahamian artist Julian Believe also at gate E10 showing passengers how to do the Caribbean slide. With fares as low as $49 and flying in and out of 100 cities, Frontier Senior Director Michael Puther said another direct flight into the Bahamas was a must.
Our 26th nonstop destination from Philadelphia. So you can see we are in a growth mode. We have over 100 cities, 100 aircraft, and we have 100 more aircraft on order. So we're poised for for growth. And today's flight just pays testament to that.
The water salute upon landing, and passengers were greeted by what better way than the Goombay drum. For Our News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Well, as the Ministry of Public Service aims to wrap up its review of promotions by year's end, the BPSU president is cautioning the ministry not to disenfranchise those who've been waiting for those promotions for quite some time. Jillian Gray has that.
BPSU President Kimsley Ferguson says he's concerned about the announced public service promotion review, as he hopes no one is disadvantaged because of it.
I am concerned as to what the final result is going to be of the review, whether or not we're going to have to take another position in that particular regard.
The review is expected to be complete by Christmas, according to Minister of State for the Public Service, Pia Glover-Roll, who says they're clearing the promotion backlog and assessing nearly 400 promotions announced in the final weeks of the previous administration.
Ask the government to not view those persons with social services as promotions motivated by politics, because we got to the table with social services who really did nothing in relation to the regularization exercise, although the administrators there were empowered from 2016 to address the regularization exercise.
Meanwhile, Ferguson is applauding the move by the government to increase pensions and reinstate increments.
I'm excited to some extent, but you know, Mama always said, a promise is a comfort to a fool, but the icing on the cake seals the deal. And so for me in this particular instance, based on the previous experience that public service would have had, seeing for me is believing.
Now, Ferguson says they have a number of outstanding concerns, like pending industrial agreements. They have met with the new public service minister, and Ferguson says it seems that the government wants to repair the relationship with the union, but for now, it's a wait-and-see game. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jillian Gray.
It's now time for tonight's Financial Market Minute, brought to you by RF, your local investment bank. This has been your Financial Market Minute. To explore the best performing mutual funds in the Bahamas, visit our website at www.rfgroup.com.
When Our News returns, meet the young Bahamians who journeyed to Glasgow for COP26. And Monday Night Football highlights the details when Our News returns.
Welcome to Our News, and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
This is Our News. Welcome back. As the nation's leaders engage in high-level meetings at the UN Climate Change Conference, young Bahamian activists are also in Glasgow making their voices heard. Vonique Toot reports.
We have actually a young member of the audience here from the Bahamas as well who has a question for you.
In the midst of a crowd of young international climate activists sat 29-year-old O'Neill Leedon, a Bahamian biology grad who ventured all the way from the Bahamas to Glasgow to attend COP26. We met him at Extreme Hangout, a forum designed to give youngsters a voice in the global conversation about climate change.
I feel it's imperative that the young people of the Bahamas are on the front lines of the climate crisis.
we're one of the countries that is the most vulnerable. By the year 2080, we're predicted to be one of the first 2 or 3 countries that will be completely below sea level.
Leiden graduated from the University of the Bahamas with a degree in biology and is now pursuing a career in natural science. While his studies have informed much of his feelings on climate change, it goes deeper for the young activist.
There have been beaches that I've gone to as a child that no longer exist. And it's not because of land development or tourism, it's because that those spots have been so eroded that they're no longer suitable for just leisure time.
Leiden secured a sponsorship to make the long and expensive journey to Glasgow to ensure the voices of young Bahamians are heard.
I was sponsored through an organization called Unite for Climate Action. We've actually been doing this since 2020.
Bahamian Celine Ferguson, who moved to Scotland in September to pursue her master's in epidemiology, also made her presence felt at the Youth Forum.
I came to hear the Bahamas standpoint about climate change, and I came to support, honestly. It's good to see Bahamians coming so far to make a stance.
After witnessing the devastation Hurricane Dorian caused in the Bahamas in 2019, the 23-year-old says Bahamians can't afford to just sit back and do nothing.
They came to bring awareness about the effects of climate change in the Bahamas and for people to be more mindful of their carbon footprint.
A UN report called A Code Red for Humanity warned that the world is warming faster than scientists previously thought. Reporting from Glasgow, Scotland for Our News, I'm Vonique Toot.
Well, the University of the Bahamas Mingos men's soccer team with a win in Florida. Meanwhile, Week 8 of the NFL wraps up with Monday Night Football. Here's Marcellus Hall.
All right, thanks, Christina, and welcome to Our Sports, everybody. I'm Marcellus Hall. Going on the road for a sporting team, it's always a tough bargain. UB men's soccer team lost their first 2 matches when they traveled to Florida. Now they were trying to get a couple of wins as they went back once again. Turns out, second time was just a charm. On to some soccer news. UB men's soccer team in action this past weekend, taking on Trinity College in Florida. Pretty good outcome here for our Mingo squad as Rashawn Rose scored 2 goals and Kimani Hanner the other, all coming in the first half. And UB picks up a nice win. 3-0 ends up being your final score. They do expect to take on Johnson University in a makeup match this coming Saturday. Afterwards, they talked about how things went down.
Hey, today was a good day for us. We came out with a 3-0 victory, clean sheet. We had a plan today, and they execute the plan. We pass the ball a lot, we move the ball around, and results, we get goals with patience. We attack wide, we attack up the middle, we push the ball around, we look good. I like what we saw today, and we came out with victory. The guys had courage. The keeper, Aaron, was great today. He had some saves that saved us to keep a clean sheet. We had midfielders was pushing the ball around, and the guys are now developing, and I like what to see. Now we have to go back home and practice on our weak spot.
From soccer, we go to the NFL, where Monday Night Football wrapped up Week 8 of the season. New York Giants taking on the Kansas City Chiefs in this one, and let's say the Chiefs and Giants both in desperate need of a win. The Chiefs looking to bounce back and reclaim their season. They were able to get it done. 20-17 ends up being your final score, as the Chiefs now improve to 4-4. Giants fall to 2-6. Looking at the stats on the night, Patrick Mahomes getting back on track, 275 yards passing, did have a touchdown, although he did throw 1 pick. Chiefs do get the win, and they round out Week 8 on a good note. And there it is, your check on sports for you here on this Tuesday. Game 6 of the World Series comes your way tonight. We'll give you full details on the Atlanta Braves and Houston Astros. That's coming your way tomorrow. That's your check on sports. I'm Marcellus Hall. Back to you.
Thanks, Marcellus. Still to come, working to eradicate polio globally. Stay with us.
Welcome to our news, and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
Welcome back to Our News. Mostly pleasant conditions ahead. Greg is back in the Weather Center with the details.
Thanks again, Christine. Welcome back, everybody, for your second look at weather. The quiet weather across the islands. We have a weak high-pressure system in charge. That frontal boundary near the southeast Bahamas is really falling apart. We have another one to the north. That should get near by the weekend, so we could see some more showers in the forecast by the weekend, but that high is going to continue to keep us very nice over the next couple of days. Tropics, we are only watching Wanda out there. Tropical storm Wanda still in the Atlantic, churning out there. Really a marine concern, but nothing happening with the remainder of the tropics. Tropical cyclone formation is not expected through the next 5 days. Beaching and boating forecast for all areas tonight through tomorrow. Your winds will be out of the northeast to east at 10 to 15 knots. They will fall light and variable at times. Seas 2 to 4 feet. Tide is presently high, will be low at 44 minutes past midnight. Here's a look now at your national forecast. A look now at your extended forecast through Sunday. Looks like we are starting to see those fronts come down. Some showers expected in the forecast for the weekend. Back to you, Christina.
Thanks, Greg. 2 Rotarians from the Worldwide Community Service Network started an initiative to help end polio now. The Rotary Club of New Providence has teamed up with Salad Masters to help raise money for the world's greatest meal. Rotary Club of New Providence President Lisa DeVoe explains what it is.
One of the Rotarians was diagnosed with polio as a child, and so she started the initiative of the world's greatest meal. That has expanded globally, and since it started, it has raised over $7 million around the world.
At Salad Masters, our core mission or our key focus is on providing healthy, affordable meals for individuals throughout the Bahamas. And so when Rotary partnered with us, or when Rotary asked us to partner with them for this initiative, it was a no-brainer because it's a part of our mission.
For every purchase of $10 or more at Salad Masters, $1 will go to the cause. This is the second year the eatery is partnering with Rotary. Well, thank you for joining us for our news tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Christina Dragovich. We'll see you right back here tomorrow night. Have a beautiful evening, Bahamas.